The following discussion is intended to provide a perspective and is not intended as professional advice. These are merely things I have found useful. Please consult a healthcare professional for advice on proceeding. In this episode, we'll examine coping methods, both positive and negative, or good and bad habits is another way to put it. Negative coping methods. A common vice for abuse survivors is the use of drugs and or overdrinking.
Issues with overeating. I still have issues with sweets, but damn, sweets are so good. That's probably realistically the worst coping mechanism I have. I've been clean since 1997. 2011, I've been sober. I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't even drink soda. I just drink water and coffee, So there are unhealthy coping mechanisms is probably food.
By the time I was 15 years old, I was pretty much a raving alcoholic. And I know what that was connected to. That was connected to trying to double down the memories and the flashbacks. Because if I was drunk, if I drank to the point of blackout, I didn't have dreams. And while I didn't have a clear idea that's what I was doing at the time, it's something what I realized I was doing several years later. I also dealt with a pill addiction, speed addiction. I had access to things because I had relatives who were using them. So I had access to things.
I know one of my favorite bad habits was to bury myself in TV, use it as an avoidance technique. I would come home and I would just turn on the TV. When I was taking the bus home, I'd be nose buried in a book. Every minute while I wasn't working, I was doing something to keep myself distracted. But despite that, there was this constant emotional pressure building, and it built up to the point where one day my watch got caught in my coat sleeve, and I started to panic because there was the familiar feeling of being restrained. But we'll get more into that type of thing in the episode on triggers and body memories.
I've kicked all kinds of addictions. If I find something to get addicted to, I go wholeheartedly at it. Fortunately, I haven't done any hard drugs. My main drug of choice is the computer, is the internet, and all the adult websites that you can find on there. That's my drug of choice. It's still something that I struggle with.
I've tried really hard to be a drug addict and abuse alcohol. I've tried so hard. I tried smoking. I tried all of that. There is something in my body where that just doesn't take very well. In my past, though, I completely recognize that abuse challenges happen from an individual basis, and my probably worst part is in regards to sexuality. I'll tell you two things. One, I feel like that my brain is on overdrive as it relates to sex. I work to not put sex first, that there are other ways to relate and interact with people, which also then stems into pornography.
Another bad habit that I find, even now, really, really tough to break, isolationism. And although I quit drinking almost 2 years ago, I still feel the need to drink. So I always have to be on alert for that temptation. Positive coping methods. There's a saying, harness your bad habits and turn them into good habits. Many people try to change their habits all at once, going, as they say, cold turkey. This can just lead to frustration, and you give up the attempt of changing your bad habit. Like you would with TV or internet addiction, you would slowly taper that back. Let's say, for instance, when you get home and walk in the door, don't turn on the TV right away. Call someone, text someone, communicate with someone. Just see if they're willing to do something other than, sit there in front of the TV.
In the modern world with your internet availabilities there, the world's at your fingertips. And I'm pretty convinced there's about 78% of the entire internet is built on pornography. So, I'm making that up, but there's an awful lot out there. personally, I view me and my sobriety is not hypersexualizing things and staying away from pornography. And when I'm the head of my household, right, so there's no safeguards on my network connectivity that prevents me. So the only person who can prevent really diving into pornography is me. And so, and as I mentioned earlier, some days are better than others.
Or go for a walk. I find going walking is very cathartic.
The tool that worked yesterday didn't work today. And so I try to write as much as possible. I write in my journal almost every day. I write poetry. I do have a blog that I try to update as much as possible. For me, writing is essential. Communicating with my wife is important. Other days, since I'm fortunate to live near the Keys in Florida, I'll head to the beach and just look out at the ocean. And that to me is kind of a spiritual thing. I get to release all that sadness out into the abyss, and that's very helpful for me.
I actually kicked alcohol because of fear of death. That sounds very harsh, but it's actually what happened. It was one night I blacked out and I woke up and I was in the middle of the street and it was dead of winter. I was stumbling around. I got picked up by the cops. They brought me to the police station. And I looked at myself in the mirror when they told me to clean myself up, and I discovered that somebody had beaten the holy crap out of me. They brought me home, in a blanket, and I laid down on the couch and basically woke up the next day and said, I want to live, so I will never drink again. And so AA worked for a lot of people. I didn't use AA. I used, I don't want to die. So I kicked all that stuff, and then I looked around like, what the hell do I do now? What the hell do I do now? Because I can see everything clearly and I don't like what I see. It was being a sci-fi geek back then that actually saved my life, because I joined like a sci-fi fan club through the mail, and I got myself some pen pals, like people that couldn't see me face to face, so that they, you're always afraid people, if you tell them the truth of what you went through, they're going to run away screaming. I have to worry about that because I can keep it at a distance. It was cool. And so I got these sort of paper relationships. Nothing in my life, including like having a functioning life or friends or anything like that, could get me out the door. But seeing Tom Baker got me out the door. I took the bus to Boston. I went to this convention. I stood there in line, looking at the floor, hoping nobody would talk to me. And I basically got dragged into conversations by fans who, like me, couldn't shut up about things. These conventions were like little bubble worlds. We could all be freaks and everything was cool. I couldn't tell anybody about the abuse for many, many years, but I could talk to them about Larry Niven, and I could talk to them about Tom Baker, and I could talk to them about, about whatever, all this, sci-fi movies and things like that.
I also found that setting up a routine helps me keep to trying to harness good habits. One of the habits that I picked up is I like to crochet. It gives me a place to put my excess energy, and it's constructive. And I can, if someone's over, they can talk, and I can be crocheting away and still work on what I want to work on. And if I'm feeling anxious, then that's a distraction technique too.
For healthy coping mechanisms, I can't say, go pick up a canvas, you'll feel all better. You may not have a predilection for sketch pads and music. You may find yourself, going home and making a pool cue. You know what I mean? And then that's the stuff you lose yourself in. That's the stuff that you're like, this is what I've been looking to do. And for all the stuff that I do free spin art, carnival spin art. I do it at the art walks locally around here, and I do it for free. And I do it for kids and adults. And if there was a way for me to make a living doing that for free, that's probably the most healthy thing I've ever done. You should see the look on these kids' faces when they do their first spin art. They are completely lost in utter joy. And that's what, that's a healthy coping mechanism.
That's all for today's episode. Next week's episode will be the interview with Brian Cardoza. Have a good day and take care of yourself. If you're looking for resources on helping yourself or someone else who has gone through abuse, you can visit rain.org. Or, for resources specifically for men, go to oneinsix.org. If you're struggling with thoughts of suicide, please call one of the numbers in your area on the screen.